Good evening, everyone. It's Carl back from Fourth and Inches with the rest of the guys. We're here with another excellent episode to come up with. Obviously, we had Dior on a couple of weeks back, and we're absolutely over the moon to have another JUCO superstar, 5'11", dynamic wide receiver from Laney College. You might have seen him on Last Chance You on Netflix, Mr. R.J Stern. How are we, mate? You good?
Hey, thank you for the wonderful intro, man. I appreciate that. I'm great. How are you guys?
Yeah, mate. All good.
All good.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, we're genuinely really happy to have you on. Thank you for being so responsive as well. You've been absolutely brilliant all the way through. I can only say thank you for that. So really happy to have you on. Yeah, quick one from me, and then I'll hand over to the guys for some questions. Obviously, people that have watched Last Chance You will know who you are, and because you were one of the main features throughout the series. For those who don't, who will be tuning in as well, can you just give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, as everybody knows, I'm R.J Stern. Played at Laney College for 3 years due to injuries and stuff. I'm a 5'11" white guy who plays receiver. I'm very bad at introductions, man. I'm sorry.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Other than just quick one out of interest, other than kind of football, because obviously I'd say that's probably your main interest. What other hobbies? Do you have any other hobbies as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So aside from football, I'm really into reading, writing. I love drawing. I love movies too. Movies are like, I don't know, man. I've loved movies since I was a kid, and I like psychoanalyze every aspect about movies. Like it's my thing. So mainly that, but honestly, outside of football, like there's not a whole lot I do except like just those couple of things. I like to hang out with my girlfriend. That's always nice. But yeah, man, I'm honestly pretty boring. I don't party. I don't go out. It's all football for me. And if I'm not involved in football somehow, some way, I'm probably reading a Stephen King book or something, man. So
okay,
yeah,
so into kind of like the horror sort of genre in terms of reading.
yeah. No, I really like the horror genre. Even I wouldn't really say King is like. I think he gets characterized as a horror author. He just writes like these very like real stories, and then they have horror elements. But they're just. Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, like life is like a big horror movie. Like all this crazy stuff's always happening. And you're just like, what the, you know what I mean? So, I think that's true. I think he just writes about real life with some supernatural elements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
brilliant.
What's your favorite Stephen King novel then?
It's actually the one I'm reading right now. It's called Revival. It's really good. Yeah, like just the pacing, the story, the way things are. Carry along the characters. I dig it, man. It's awesome. Another one is one of his more recent stuff as well. It's called The Outsider. It's a murder mystery.
Yeah, I think I'll have to check those out. With staying on that sort of on that sort of line of question. With obviously you've read it. I imagine you've read it. How did you find that the new adaptations of the films kind of coincided with that? Did you enjoy them, or did you prefer the original? Or did you prefer the book?
I think the movie's better. Just because the book is like over 1,000 pages long. I forget. It's probably like 1,300 pages. It's just, and it's all important. It's just it's a lot. So it's kind of overwhelming, and to a degree, it takes away from it. But it's so brilliant. But I think a story like that is better suited for the screen. Just because like it's always better to watch something than to read it, in my opinion. So I would say I think they did a wonderful job. Even if the second one is just kind of like, it kind of drags on the same way the book does. The book does.
No, I agree. Coming over to Laney College, I think we can all agree, everyone that watched Last Chance You, Laney was quite different to the previous series. I think it was a lot more grittier. I think everyone would agree with that.
Absolutely.
Did you watch Last Chance You before you were actually told you were going to feature on there at all, RJ?
Actually, it was weird because the summer before, that summer, like before I found out, I was up in Rockland, California with my best friend, and they'd come by in April, and then we hadn't heard anything from them since. So we're thinking like, damn, we scared them off. Like they don't want none of this, which I get it. But luckily that wasn't the case. So I was chilling on the couch, and he was like, "Have you ever seen this show?" And I was like, "I haven't." I saw bits and snippets, but I just couldn't stand the way that. And no disrespect to anybody, I just really hated the coaches. I couldn't stand them. They were like they're just super egotistical and like selfish, and they just didn't care about the kids. And I just I couldn't stand them. So that was a big part of why I never watched it. But I put on a couple episodes of the 3rd season, and I was just like, "Yep, that's why I don't like it." So I stopped watching it. And it's a brilliantly shot show. All 5 seasons are great cinematography wise, and characters aside from the coaches are very interesting. But I just couldn't like Coach Brown. I mean, golly, guy's funny. I'm sure he knows his stuff with football, but man, I just I couldn't get into it. So no, not really. And then I was picked, I think, last to be on the show. I had a really good day of practice, and that's when they during a scrimmage, they picked up, and they were like, "Hey, what's your name? Like how do you get here every day? Would you mind if we followed you home on BART one day?" And then one thing led to another, and I was like, "Oh, like okay, that's cool. Okay, we can do that." So yeah, no, I didn't really watch it, but you best believe when the show dropped, I watched every single episode that night.
I think it's so true. It's so true. I probably shouldn't say this because I've been trying to get him on, but like Jason Brown is so egotistical to the point where he's acknowledged very many things that I've sent to him and has just blanked me. So Jason Brown, if you end up watching this, because your podcast isn't that big either, we don't want you on here. No, I agree. Like, especially when you come across someone like Coach Bean, who was with yourself, you could see clearly cared about the players, and I think maybe come across, which Liam will and Chris will delve into, that maybe it seemed like the show portrayed he cared about some players more than others, but we'll talk about that in a bit. What I kind of got from yourself, because obviously we spoke to Dior a little bit about how he tried to overcome some issues that he was living with, because I know a lot of you didn't realise he was living out of his car as well. But obviously you had a lot of issues to deal with yourself. I mean, obviously, you had some issues at home when you were growing up and things like that. Did that ever have any sort of effect on you as you grew up when you were trying to pave your way through football? Because Dior kind of looked at his obstacles and he'd try and overcome them in a way, but you yourself, it's almost as if you got this excellent positive attitude that says, I'm overcoming these obstacles because I'm meant to. I'm here to play football. This is all I want to do. I'm here to play football. So you just talk a little bit more about that. How did you overcome your own obstacles?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So honestly, no one is born with this insight, if you will, or this intuitiveness to say I'm bigger than my problems. And so at one point I used, whether it was an injury or the way things were going home, I had excuses, right? I had excuses to say, oh, that's why I'm not going to do this. That's why I'm not going to get better today. And it's through that. And it was all in high school. I was very arrogant high school football player, man. I didn't think I had to get better. I didn't think I had to lift as much as everybody. That's because like I would go out there and I'd literally do whatever I want. I would mess up on a play and I would still like score a touchdown or make a crazy catch. Like I was just that gave me a sense of pride and arrogance that was just unwarranted, because the truth of the matter is I wasn't that good at one particular thing. I was just good at I was just decent enough at a bunch of different positions. So I had this overinflated sense of self on the football field. And like at one point, like my senior year, I just realized like, man, like, because I had a messed up experience in high school. So I got moved to Texas when I was a junior. Didn't even get to finish my spring semester at my high school. Got uprooted. We moved to Texas. Got out to Texas. I was there for 3 months. I got kicked out of the house. I left. I came back to California. I got left here in Gray Haven. My dad was like, "Yeah, no way, you're not living here. You're a man now. You're 18. Take care of yourself." And I was like, "Okay." And so I was thinking like wherever I go, it's gonna be smooth sailing. And when I got to high school, or when I got back to my original high school, I'm practicing. I'm doing like they had me doing scout team quarterback because that's actually what I was gonna play that year was quarterback for them. I'm doing scout team quarterback, and I'm going against our defense, and I'm like making ridiculous. Like we're running the same play, quarterback jet sweep, and I scored like 10 touchdowns on the same play. I'm not even kidding. Just crazy. Like they know it's coming. I'm still like making crazy moves upfield, and I was just like, man, why aren't they playing? And it was like, oh, it's because you don't know the plays. And so that whole season was I would get play time. I would get some play time, mainly on defense. But I was realizing slowly but surely, like, dude, you got a lot of shit you got to figure out, man. Like, you don't understand football. If he asks you what cover 3 is, or what 0 is, or what 4 is, are you gonna be able to explain it? No, hell no.
Yeah.
So that was when I started realizing, like, okay, I haven't been putting my all into this the way I think I have. And so I got to Laney College in spring of 2017, and I had a different mindset going in. Like, I need to get better. I'm a good football player, but I'm not a good route runner. I need to learn how to run routes. I need to learn the game. And so I kind of just went through this sort of transformation of self and decided that, and that's on top of having personal issues, having problems at home, problems with the family. I just decided that I wasn't going to allow myself I wasn't going to allow myself to stoop down to that level anymore. There was going to be no more excuses, no more reasons why I couldn't do something, no more reasons why I couldn't get better every day. And so whatever was going on, man, like at home, personally, whatever it was, I just kept it to myself. And I just decided to, like that you can't blame a circumstance or someone else for why you aren't being successful. And I've just stuck with that mindset throughout. And so I think that's part of where some of the disconnect between Coach Beam and I happens is because he wants people to ask for help. And that's the hardest thing for me to do. And so, I just didn't talk about it, and so he was unaware of certain things, and that's why we would butt heads. Maybe he was a little harder on me than some other guys, which is fine. I welcomed it. I just didn't want there to be an excuse for why I couldn't go do something, and I wanted to, you know what I mean? So that's really where it comes from. It's just like failing and learning. So I wasn't just born like that. I just, I had to learn.
It takes a lot of mental strength that I can probably guarantee you don't give yourself enough credit with. That's serious strength within yourself to be able to do that, to be able to look at yourself and say I'm not. That's incredible, mate. Honestly, I can't have high enough praise for that. That's incredible, mate. Honestly, it really is.
I appreciate that.
In episode 4, which is the one that's mainly based around your life and your upbringing and stuff like that, you mentioned the fact that you've never felt loved. And my question is, obviously, with the way that Coach Beam treated Dior and the way he put his arm around him and stuff like that, and the way he more came at you and was like, be better, do better, do you feel that affected you and you were found yourself asking of like, why won't he put his arm around me and talk to me and give me the guidance that I need? Or was that just what we saw on the show and really he did put his arm around you and pull you together at times? Or
Absolutely. And so when I talk about not feeling loved or liked or wanted, that's really a feeling that I carried through high school, just because my at-home life with my mom was just it was tough. It was tough. Like they probably they don't disclose it on the show due to legality issues, but I mean all through my life, man, I have vivid memories of being at school and getting called up to the principal's office to talk to CPS multiple times throughout my young life. And so you can only imagine what follows that, right?
Yeah.
And we were never taken away or anything, but like the fact that they were constantly there is a big issue. And so like just the stuff at home and like the fighting and the yelling and the screaming, that's why I felt that way. But to answer your question about Coach Beam, 100%, I wouldn't even be here talking to you right now if it wasn't for Coach Beam. He pushed me in a way that I have never been pushed, because he just he's actually a big part of what really made me realize, like, your problems don't matter. If you want to be successful, they shouldn't matter. He kind of ingrained that in my head without ever saying a word to me, because of how hard he was on me. So if I messed up something, he was 10 times harder on me than he was anybody else. Seriously. And it's probably because I messed it up so much early on. But he absolutely was that guy who just puts your arm around you when you need it. And he loves you and he cares about you. He wants the best for you. That's what makes him such a special coach. I think that's why he's probably one of the best coaches I've ever had in my life. And he's a wonderful person. He really is. That wasn't just for the cameras. I could tell you, there's a scene that they show where he goes and kisses Ray on the cheek, hugs him, and says, "You're going to be okay," after he snaps his ankle.
Yeah.
So he did the same thing to me in 2018 when I sprained my neck and I had a really bad concussion. They were taking me off to the hospital to go get an MRI and to get checked out. He did the same thing for me. He smiled. He said, "Everything's going to be okay, man. You're going to bounce back." So he really is that dude. There was no cameras. There's no nothing. That's just who he is. And, that's why I've never had like any feelings of animosity towards him, like real animosity. Like a lot of it's just like me venting frustration. But like it's always love between us. It always will be. So he's a phenomenal person, phenomenal human being.
Yeah, you kind of just answered the question I was going to ask, if I'm honest. I mean, I think some people could probably get the impression that you could have had like a strained relationship with him, because it seemed like you sometimes did kind of butt heads, but I think that was probably necessary for you to kind of develop and become who you are and what you've become now, really.
I think, oh, absolutely, man. And so, yes, the show, we definitely early on and up until after the show was released, we had a very strange relationship because, I mean, dude, I would literally I would make a play and there would be something wrong with it. He's highly critical of me. He's very highly critical of me. And that's fine. I'm all for it. But there was just a lot more bad than good. And that can take a toll on your mental for some people. But for me, I was just like, all right, just got to get better. But we definitely we're not best buds during football season. We were not. I can promise you that. I tried my best to be, I would say 98% of the time, cool, calm, and collected towards him. Yes, sir. No, sir. I got you, coach. All that. There's about 2 or 3 days of clips that they sprinkle in throughout the season of me just saying stuff I really don't mean and shouldn't say. And they just kind of sprinkle it in there, and it's for drama. And it wasn't that those weren't my feelings at the time, because off camera and without a mic, there were certain things I would vent and talk about, like not getting targets, not getting the respect I felt I deserved, all that stuff. But yeah, it definitely wasn't all sunshines and rainbows, man. There's a lot of rainy days over there, for sure.
But do you think though, because obviously he'd seen you at high school and he'd seen that you'd kind of had that attitude where you were, like you said, where you just make a play and it'd be, no matter how much you messed it up, it'd be perfect anyway because you'd end up scoring, so forth. Do you think he's seen that and he pushed you more due to the fact that your game wasn't perfect and you couldn't get away with it, that he expected you to raise it to that next level, that he wasn't going to allow you to get in a mindset of, this is easy, I can do this?
Absolutely, man. There's so many instances on film that, they don't show it because there's only so much they can put in there. But there's so many times where say it's a slant or a pitch, I'll beat the guy so bad, it'll be silly, and I'll either get the ball thrown to me or not. But he'll be upset at me and he'll be critical of me because maybe I didn't get to my full depth. Maybe instead of 6 yards, it was at 5 or 4. Or on a slant, maybe I didn't push vertical hard enough, and then even if you know what I mean. So just stuff like that. But I mean, another thing is it's a TV show, so they don't show the whole story. So the whole thing with the running to the sideline, I mean, me and him are still gonna disagree on that because I could show you about 100 different instances where I run a vertical and I definitely don't get pushed to the sideline or run to the sideline. But he could probably pull up 100 times in practice where it happens throughout my career there, and a couple of times during games where it happens. And I got frustrated because our offense, I was a very one-dimensional piece of our offense at times. It was just R.J. running a vertical. What do I do here now? What are we running? R.J. got a vertical. it's just obvious. Like they're like it's not fooling anybody, and so teams are going to start to scheme against that. And so I felt like I was kind of getting blamed for the corner knowing what I was going to do. But he's still like, well, you know what? You got all this ability. Like it shouldn't matter if he knows what you're doing, and he's right. And so like you just got to take the coaching. But like that's where the frustration came in because like at a certain point I was just like, dude, that is just so like unfair and unrealistic. So like I feel like if maybe if I'd said it that way on camera, it might have made a little more sense. But I feel like whenever that stuff does come up, I come off as very arrogant, and I don't mean to be. But that's just a couple of different ways that I would say that maybe I did something that looks right, but it's actually not right, and I need to correct it.
Do you think overall you're happy with how they portrayed you in the show?
Absolutely. As a person, as a human being, I'm very happy with the way I was portrayed. I think anybody who watched the show all the way through knows that I'm just very emotional and passionate, and that I love football, definitely. And that like I'm not some arrogant brat. As far as like my playing, I mean, it definitely shows off some of my ability, but man, like they left some stuff out, man. Like there's some stuff I do that I personally think is like elite, and it doesn't make the cut. It's fine. But like particularly, I want to talk about like they don't show any of my one-on-ones with Ray. They have like 2 in there, and one of them is like Ray just it's a back shoulder throw, but he should have put it over the top. Ray picks it off with one hand. And then there's another one where it's vertical and it's downfield. We're going like 25 in, and it's another back shoulder ball, and it hits Ray in the back of the head. Even though I like went over the top, and so like that's all they show. And I feel like if they had shown more of our one-on-one interactions, people would have seen like, like he can run routes. He can, you know what I mean? So I was a little frustrated with that, but at the same time, it's like it's whatever. Like they're not gonna spend so much time on practice, so.
Do you think that had a lot to do with, obviously they kind of wanted to run that narrative that you and Coach Beam were butting heads, so they thought we're going to have to leave out the good stuff and run the bad stuff, unfortunately, because there's so many times, to be fair, like, and I love yourself and Coach Beam, watch it was brilliant, and there's so many times when myself and my girlfriend, because she's really invested in it all as well, I was like, come on, Coach, like that's harsh. Yeah.
So, I mean, believe it or not, bro, the stuff he said to me on TV, that's not even like they've been there 2 years ago. Bro, that's like normal talking. Like I like dog. He has said some stuff to me. I remember one time, I don't remember what I did. I probably ran a route wrong. He just told me to dye my hair because he was like you're so fucking. He was like, you're so goddamn blonde. Dye your hair. Like he said stuff like that to me all the time.
Brilliant.
It was so funny.
I'm not surprised that didn't make this series.
Yeah, no, he definitely cooled off a little bit. Like 2017, in particular, he was harsh. But yeah, no, they definitely did that to push that narrative a little bit of me and him, butting heads and having this conflict. And they weren't, and it wasn't really a narrative. Like that was what was happening. We literally just weren't seeing eye to eye, and so it wasn't something they constructed. Like that's really like how it was.
They emphasized it, didn't they? That they made that kind of the main bit.
Yeah, and I knew that it was going to go in that direction, just because of like, I feel like I'm a pretty self-aware guy and like just self-aware in general, and so I was kind of like, yeah, the narrative's going to be, it's either going to be why aren't they throwing me the ball, or RJ is complaining about not getting thrown the ball, or a little bit of both, and it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I thought what they did portray very well, though. Even though they were showing you butting heads, though, any time he spoke to you, you did speak to him in a proper manner. You always said, yes, sir, no, sir. And whenever you were arguing, you were on the white lines, and whenever you were biting back at him, it was the fact of that's just your competitive nature that is coming out in you. That's not like I mean, you can be portrayed however it wants, but if you don't see that as a competitor's edge, if you don't see that at practice he's trying to win every one-on-one battle, he's trying to make himself a better person, a better player, and his coach is yelling at him to be better, and he's like, I'm going to be better, then you're missing the point of it, really, aren't you?
Absolutely, you hit the nail right on the head, man. Absolutely.
I think what was kind of quite satisfying for myself, anyway, is you mentioned about your butting heads and so on, but I think the game against the Bulldogs, when you went for that big play touchdown, and the camera panned to Coach on the sidelines, and you could see it. He could not have been happier for you. He was screaming your name and all that. And for me, it was kind of, I felt like kind of vindicated for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, fair enough. The game itself was unfortunately in a losing effort, but I mean, from what I noticed at the end of that Bulldogs game, everyone was distraught. And I mean, why do you think that was different to the other losses that you took? Why was that one so important?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about that. So they don't. It's weird that they don't really touch on this, but basically, if we beat them, we would have won the league. So because we beat San Francisco City, and they were second place, so that I think that technically made us second place. So CSM was first. So if we knock them down, we're automatically going to the playoffs as long as we win out, right? And so that was a part of the deal. If you want to make another state run, beat CSM, and it was crushing. It was a crushing loss in so many ways, man. I mean, we don't like CSM. We respect them, I'm sure, but like we like them more than we like City. We can't fucking stand City. I hate City. And they can't fucking beat us.
What was with that dancing?
I mean, hey, if you come into your house and start dancing, you're gonna get it. That's what you're gonna get.
We could not believe they did that. Like, I knew once I saw that, oh, we're winning this game, because that like, I was like, yeah, we're winning this fucking game. But no, it's just, that's like a real rivalry that is like, it's like City can't fucking fuck with us, dude. Like, we blow them, we beat them all the time. Like, we're 5-0 in the last 3 years against them. They suck. Okay, and they're clinging to this national title they had 10, 12 years ago. Like, respect to those guys, but like, Jesus Christ, guys, like, get over it. You haven't been back since. So, yeah, like, it's just like, because they've beaten us, so it leaves a sour taste in your mouth, and like, you want to beat them because they're one of the best junior colleges in the country. And so when you lose a game like that, and it's for all the marbles, it's gut-wrenching, man. And there was a significant decrease of passion for football after we lost that game, and I knew that's what would happen. People would just stop caring it, and I wasn't wrong. They don't really show it, but like, a lot of guys stopped showing up practice. They were showing up late. They weren't. Yeah, man, it was crushing blow.
I bet that was hard for you. Sorry, Carl. RJ, who's very dedicated and very wisdom and very dedicated to what you were trying to do. I bet that was hard for you to see teammates that you probably got on with in training and that could bounce off at training, because you try and spur one another on to be better and better. I bet that was really hard to see, like, teammates feel flat.
Oh, dude, that's the worst. That's the thing I hate most about football, is losing. And then like seeing the way it affects my guys. And I'm not a very vocal person in the locker room. I will when I need to be, but I try to lead by example. And but yeah, no, like there's just even if I had words, I don't even know if I'd have the heart to tell them.
It must be very frustrating.
Yeah, to be honest with you, man, like, I kind of like, before the cameras, like, a lot of people asked me if the cameras had an effect on how the team performed. No, I guarantee you it had nothing to do with the other teams that they filmed either. Before we even knew Last Chance U had any interest in us, people were not running, people were not lifting, people were showing up late, people were skipping class. Like, the bar was set so high, and was then brought down to this level. Like, we were the shits, brother, in the words of Coach B. Okay? Like, just, there was no passion or intent behind what we were doing, even before the cameras. And so, like, I knew that, and like it started to pick up a little bit when we figured out we had a chance if we beat USM, and then it just depleted entirely. Like there was just so it wasn't a surprise to me that people stopped showing up even less. But it's still hard because it's like I care so much and Dior cares so much, and there are guys who want to go out and win a championship, but like it's obviously not as important as the group as we thought it was to them. So
Do you feel it
that's
kind of hindered your development?
What'd you say?
I said, do you feel like the other players kind of behaving in that way because of that result kind of hindered your development in some way, or stopped you from progressing further than you maybe would have if you carried on winning?
I actually I started having trouble. I started my route running ability. Like I was the best route runner we had, but when Ray got hurt and I stopped being able to go with him, it kind of changed a little bit of the intensity for me at practice. But as far as like my work ethic, like absolutely not. Like I'm a very self-driven kind of person. I understood that even though things aren't going the way I would have liked them for the team, I still have a job to do on my end. And if I want to play in the NFL, if I want to go play Division I football, like I need to stay the course. And so that's what I kept in mind. I was like, look, don't worry about what's going on. Like you got to come into work and get better at something today. I don't care what it is. If it's stock blocking or like whatever, watching a play, like who cares? Like get better at something. So it didn't affect my mental. The only thing that really took a toll on me was when Ray got hurt, because me and him had a mutual thing. We just went against each other every day. And so when he went down, like that was I stopped. I feel like maybe my growth probably got stunted a little bit. You know, no disrespect to my guys, KP and LJ and Laprel. Those guys are ballers, bro. But like, they know what I mean. Like, Ray is just like, he's just different, bro. They kind of did him dirty. Like he's like you guys are gonna see when he's playing for Oregon State this next year. I guarantee he's gonna be a first round draft pick. I guarantee it.
He's a dog.
Yeah,
he's a dog. Like he's like you can see that from the bits they show of him and stuff like that. You can see that he is the guy, like, and he knows he's the guy, but he's going to prove he's the guy again. He's going to take the number one receiver, because a lot of the times when they were getting in the games when they were getting scored on, you don't see Ray in shot. You don't, and every time there's a play, Ray's in shot.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's one of them. Like,
I know you say obviously you try not. There's no excuses, and you're always going to have something to work on, which is absolutely fine. But at some point, and obviously this is no fault of Dior, because nothing could really be done about it. But do you think Dior moving to quarterback did hinder your progression and offers?
No, because like no. It yes and no, because Dior's not a quarterback. He's just a great football player. The guy can do anything. But the way I want to answer this is, no, it didn't affect my offers because I still have them, plenty of them. I have plenty of opportunities that I'm going to be able to pursue. But yes, because like he's very limited in what he could do as a quarterback, and he's still like, dude, they should have shown some of the stuff he was doing at practice. I mean,
yeah,
I remember I ran a dig. And he threw a ball to me, like, that was perfect. He threw it between, like, 4 guys on a line. And I, like, reached back and caught it. I was like, what the fuck? And he would just throw, like, these crazy back shoulders to people and outs. And he was just incredible. Like, so to me, like, everybody had full confidence in Dior. Like, who can only throw the ball, like, 30 yards down the field? He can sling that thing, man.
Yeah.
So, no, not at all. What frustrated me was, like, the lack of, like, play calls to me, because I felt like since he's now there, I'm going to get the full respect as the number one receiver that I felt I deserved to be.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But that didn't happen. I was just kind of a decoy most times, and we threw a lot of underneath stuff that picked up like 4 yards, and we punted a lot. And so no, it was just kind of a bad situation for everybody that couldn't be avoided. We just had to make the most of the situation.
Yeah. No, it's again a brilliant attitude, because Dior was obviously, very in the same position as you. He said that it was all about team. He wasn't thinking about himself individually, because like you said, you're all just put in a bad situation, unfortunately. I've got a question from someone in the comments. He wants to ask, which athlete did you look up to whilst you were growing up?
Oh, a couple, man. But I really got into football when I was about 12, 13, and it was because I saw Randy Moss catch a football. I was like, oh my goodness. I actually couldn't whistle when I was 12 or 13. I just learned how to do that. So it was more like, you know. But when I saw Randy Moss playing football, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And then I started watching guys like Adrian Peterson. All Vikings, by the way. So I love Percy Harvin. I love Randy Moss. Chris Carter's the GOAT, and Adrian Peterson. But those three in particular, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Adrian Peterson, were like, I was like, man, like, I want to play like those guys. Like, I want to play football because of it. It just, the way they played the game made it look like so much fun. And like, obviously I was right. Like, it's football.
Yeah.
So it's so yeah, those three in particular had a huge impact on me. And yeah, it's too bad I didn't get any one-handed catches like in a game, because like that's kind of my thing that I like to do, and I learned that from Chris Carter, because he's the master of catch the ball one hand. So, but yeah, those are the three that I looked up to the most growing up, for sure.
Does
Obviously,
that mean you were a Viking? Sorry, Carl.
we had a brief chat before, and you said you don't support anyone in particular. You just like to watch good football, which is fair enough. So, who do you think is going to wear? Well, actually, Lynn, this was your question, was it? I'm sorry, I'm going to.
Carry on. No.
Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year?
The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's really going to be a question of for the next decade or so, who are the Chiefs going to be playing in the Super Bowl? Like, the Chiefs are going to, like, I mean, I don't know how you, like, did you guys watch the Chargers game?
Yeah.
I for sure thought they were going to get upset. Nope, they were 2-0. They won.
Nope.
Somehow.
Took it to OT, but yeah.
I mean,
I think
yeah,
I read a stat that I think like the last 10 games where they've gone more than 10 points behind, they've won every game.
yes,
It's like,
that's a stat.
That's huge. It's
He's
huge.
I think he likes playing from behind, man.
Yeah. It just gives him that extra bit of motivation, that bit of drive, and it's just like
freedom.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible what Mahomes is doing at the minute.
I think it's gonna be Chiefs Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
Oh,
Chiefs
God.
Seahawks. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even see you wearing a Seahawks shirt, man.
Oh, I love it.
You've just made his day.
Man. That doesn't mean they're gonna win.
Oh no, but I'm happy with it though.
Oh, the other guy's left.
But RJ, how good is Russ being the first few games?
Dude, I mean, he's pissed off about not getting a single career first place MVP vote. I'll tell you that much, because, wow.
How he hasn't won one yet is outrageous. I don't know.
It's crazy, isn't it?
He doesn't even have a vote. I don't understand.
No, not a single vote.
It's
literally it's crazy. His
completely
passer completion is over 100, average over 8 years.
Yeah,
there's only Aaron Rodgers statistically is the only better quarterback, and he's not received a single vote.
Yeah, no, he's phenomenal, man. I think someone just asked me who my favorite Bills player is, or maybe
yeah.
Okay, my favorite Bills player is Stephon Diggs. He's dope. I love Stephon Diggs. He's another favorite Viking of mine. Him and Adam.
Yeah, I was gonna say. My girlfriend's got his jersey. I'll get it from somewhere, but yeah, she's devastated he's left. So.
I would be too.
Yeah. Obviously, when we talked about you watching good football, someone's put in that you won't be watching the Bucks then, which is just trying to have
oh, that's messed up, man.
I know, yeah.
It's tough. I love Tom Brady, and they have an exciting offense, and so it's difficult to say like what, like I don't know, man. Like, I was kind of surprised that they lost against the Saints. I thought they got the short end of the stick, to be honest. I think they got a lot of non-PI calls, which was
Yeah.
just not cool. And I don't know, man. Anytime the Saints play, like, there's always some shady shit with the refs. I don't know what it is. So I think,
true.
yeah, like, I really think the Bucs are gonna be okay. Tom Brady looks amazing. He looks as good as ever. He has great receivers now. He'll be okay. I think the Bucs are gonna be the team to watch. But I don't want to, like, they're not gonna go to the Super Bowl, man. I need to see some shit out of them for them to go to the Super Bowl. Some
I hope they
shit.
do. I stupidly, like during lockdown, I booked flights to Tampa for Super Bowl week. Being a huge fan, thinking, yeah, they're going to get there, but I'm not going to be able to go anyway because of lockdown. So either way, it's good luck for me. I'm taking a L.
Hey, man. I mean, who knows? Maybe the conspiracy theorists on the internet are right, and it's all just an election ploy. Maybe there's a chance, you know. Maybe after the election, you know. I mean, I doubt it, but whatever, you know.
We've got an interesting question from someone, to be fair as well. How do you see yourself getting into the league?
The same way, maybe not the same way everybody else goes, but like, I'm gonna walk on somewhere. Can't tell you where yet. I don't want to like put that out there officially, but I'll be at a school. I'll work my butt off. I guarantee you, I'll start playing in the slot. I'll probably wind up returning kicks as well. I'll do what I can, whether I'm the last pick in the draft or an undrafted free agent, or I have an amazing enough career to get picked up in the first 3 rounds. Like, whatever it is, like the NFL wants guys who can play. They want guys like me. They want guys like Dior. They want guys like my good friend Jared Smart. They want those guys, and so that's how. Like, to me, it doesn't matter how. It's just when. It's not if, it's when. It's not how, it's when.
That's what I love about your attitude. Like, it's brilliant. That's why I've become such a huge fan, because of that attitude. It's not
just motivated.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Off the back of that, if you could join any NFL team, you've got the whole pick of whoever you wanted to play for.
Okay.
The draft is different this year. Yeah. You get to choose wherever you go, RJ.
You choose.
I got a better scenario. So, like, let's say I'm just the number 1 receiver in the league, and I'm a free agent now.
There you go.
Kansas City. Kansas City. I want to play with that guy.
Okay.
I want to go play with Chiefs.
Patrick Mahomes.
Not
Good
Russ.
choice.
You got to get in where you fit in, man. Like, I feel like I would fit into the Chiefs' offensive scheme more than the Seahawks. Actually, the Seahawks Russell Wilson is my second. Like, that's who I'd want to go play with too. It's between those two guys. But Patrick Mahomes is he's just so. I feel like he keeps plays alive to a degree where it's unbelievable. Like, it's unprecedented. And so, like, I'm very good at like continuing to move around and stay open. And I feel like we would thrive off each other in an ideal circumstance, but also the Seahawks for sure, because Russell Wilson has the same ability.
Who would you kind of compare your playing style to? If you would be, anyway.
Yeah, I'm not big on NFL comparisons. I think everybody's unique in their own right as far as like what they do. But I would say the guy in my personal opinion, resemble the most is probably Adam Thielen. I would say good, both good route runners, catch everything. Although I think I'm faster than him. He doesn't look that fast to me. I think he's like a 4 or 5 guy. I might be a 4 or 5 guy. Who knows? I feel like I look a little faster on tape, but I would say we resemble each other the most. But as far as like. Oh, he's back. What's up, man?
So my phone overheated and it just shut off.
No, I think it's
good excuse.
Wilson so much and Patrick Mahomes, and you being a Pats fan, you couldn't deal with it, so you left.
It was perfect timing. It couldn't have been better timing.
No. I always say the quarterbacks are good. I don't like the teams very much, but the quarterbacks are good.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I don't really I don't really have like a player that I'm just like, oh, I play like this guy. I try to like play like I like to try to take tools from everybody. So I like
Sure.
I love the way that Calvin Ridley runs routes. That dude is insane. Mark Cooper's great. Obviously Adam Thielen is an awesome route runner. He's very very, very good. I like the way that what's his name? I try to catch the way that Odell catches the ball when he catches it. Just like late hands, snatching it away. Like he's great at that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, like he's been having a drop problem lately. Like I think he just takes his eye off the ball, which is what a lot of guys do. So
Yeah.
he's gonna be all right. But I try to like take little things of different guys' games and just try to like add it to
mold them to you.
Precisely.
So, obviously, you're not going to talk about your walk-on offers per se, which is fine. We're not going to ask you anything about that. However, I believe you had a full scholarship ride for a D2 school. Is that right? Not so long ago, and I think you decided not to go ahead with that.
Yeah, man. So the story is very long, so I will summarize it the best I can because there's a lot of stuff that happened. Nothing to do with the school, by the way. But I got out there, and just from day one, I just felt out of place, and I was just like, "What?" I literally walked into our apartment. I was like, "What the fuck am I doing here? Why am I here? Why?" Like I've never felt that way before. It was weird, and so I thought maybe these are just nerves. Like big move, new state, all the way across the country, so far from home, but like. It just wasn't that. I was like, I could have gotten used to Tennessee. I actually like to get out there. Aside from the like super aggressively hick people out there. They're just like, there's a lot of nice people, but like we ran into a couple of people who were like we don't take two cans. You know what I mean? Like they're tough. Okay, so it was yeah. So aside from that, like I could have gotten used to Tennessee. I'm sure I would have enjoyed living there, but something just felt off, and I felt like I could have done better. And I felt like I made a rash decision just because of the way things have been going for me. And I had a feeling, I had an intuition, a premonition, if you will, that college football, especially at the Division II level, was not going to happen. I wasn't sure about Division I, but Division II, I was like, no way. No way, no. Absolutely not. All the way back in June, I was like, there's no way we play ball. So a number of things played into it. That included, I just didn't feel right. I felt out of place. I didn't like it, and I had this feeling in me that like you need to go back home, and you need to just wait it out. And I mean, dude, when they say trust your gut, like it's so real because like so many things have happened since the show came out and since I've left that are just like I would have never imagined it. Like it's stuff out of the movie. So, like. It's almost like indescribable. Like I can't really get too deep into it just because that would be revealing too much as far as like where I'm going to be playing ball. But I mean it's crazy. So maybe when it's announced, I can come back on and I can share that experience with you guys.
That'd be awesome.
100%.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. So, but yeah, man, it's just I just didn't like it, and I felt like I could there was something more for me. So I left, and there's no animosity between us. We're all good, you know. I have all the respect in the world for Coach K. Bell and Coach Jay Odom. So those guys are great, but I just had to do what was best for me.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Because, you know, if you don't, you're going to end up staying somewhere and it's going to affect how you play. Like, you have to think about yourself in those situations. So I don't think anyone would begrudge you for that at all.
You'd be surprised. I think everybody was looking at me when I left like, are you fucking serious? You what? You know, like they were like RJ. Like they were like, no way. And what made it worse was so after the show dropped, I was in contact with a dozen NFL. I was in contact with a dozen Division I schools just off the bat that week.
Wow.
Which was crazy. Just to be in contact with them, just to have that interest. But I was told before I left Tennessee from the producer, because I asked him, like, do people typically get like better or more offers? And he was like, no. If anything, it kind of hurts your offers a little bit, just because like it's an insight into you as a person. Not everybody is great on that camera. So I was told like pretty much the odds were stacked against me. You have no other offers. You're already nowhere near the radar on the Division One level, and the show is not going to help you. All of those things turned out to be false because show dropped and boom, dozen Division One schools are in contact with me. And I'm like, oh shit, So I feel like I was the statistical anomaly in that because like I was not expecting that to happen. I was actually going to go to University of San Diego, which is a Division One school. They play in the Pioneer League. They run that league. They're very good. And some stuff was lining up actually. So, but that's I don't know that that's where I'm going to be. They're still on the table, but I don't know that they're going to be the landing spot. So, yeah, it was crazy, man. People were just like especially my family and friends, they were like, RJ lost it. He's gone. I knew those head injuries would catch up with him. God damn it. They were just like, fuck.
Do you think that, obviously, with the college leagues getting cancelled, and then they're obviously bringing them back, obviously the Big Ten, Pac-12 are in discussions to come back and stuff like that. Do you think that people are going to take the Nick Bosa approach, though, and say, nah, I'm just going to train all year and I'm going to make myself eligible for the draft? And do you think that gives more opportunities to yourself in Div 1 schools because people may opt out?
So I'll tell you right now, yes. The reason I'm about to be in an unbelievable situation, which again can't disclose it as of yet, but the reason I'm gonna be able to go and pursue this dream of mine is because of COVID-19, which sounds crazy. It's like a global pandemic that's killed hundreds of thousands of people is helping our district. Who would have thought? But yeah, like guys opting out, guys transferring, like that's a big part of it. That's why I'm gonna be able to go and do this thing that I'm about to go and do.
Did you have any doubt about wanting to play during everything that's going on? Was it ever a thought in your mind that you might not want to sort of go for it this year because of everything that's going on?
Like opt out?
Yeah.
Yes, but not because of COVID. So my whole thing is, I just disagree with the fact that guys are trying to play football in general with no spring ball, no spring lifting program, no summer lifting program, no real fall camp. Everything, like look at all the guys that just got hurt in the NFL. You know why that is?
Yeah.
It's
no
because
preseason.
No
training.
training.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, if anything, if I'm at a school and they like me and I know that I'm cool and I'm a scout, whatever it is, I probably play because I'm an idiot and I want to play football. But like logically, it was stupid for anybody to play who's worth their salt because so many bad things can go wrong. And like that's clear as of right now. People are getting the COVID. People are getting hurt. They're tearing their ACL. They're tearing their Achilles. They're getting just horribly injured. And so yeah, like it's definitely a forethought on mine. Like if I were in that position, if I'm a top 10 recruit or if I'm a top 10 NFL draft prospect, I'm opting out because I didn't put together the best offseason I could. Believe it or not, like structure is important. Easing into football is important. If you don't have if you don't ease into it, your body is just gonna snap. You're gonna cut too hard one day and your knee's gonna give out. You're gonna take that hit and it's just gonna be too much for your shoulder or your body in general. So it was for sure a forethought. For me personally, I wouldn't have opted out, but if I'm in another position, absolutely, I'm opting out. Have to, because you got to think about yourself first.
Because obviously Nick Bosa got a lot of criticism for not making himself available for the Ohio State. So when he opted out, and everyone was like, "Oh, what's he gonna do?" and he still went number 2, wasn't he? He was
number 2 or 3. Yeah, he was 2.
Yeah.
He was 2.
Yeah, it was 2. And it just like for me, like I can see a lot of college athletes will look at Nick Bosa and go, "Well, it didn't hurt him." So I could see that. That's why I asked the question, because I could see them opting out in the season and focusing on getting themselves ready for the NFL, getting themselves ready for the combine and stuff like that. But I think it's more difficult. I think it'd be more difficult for the quarterbacks. So the likes of Justin Fields, the likes of Trevor Lawrence, who teams are going to be looking at first, second picks. I think it'd be more difficult for them to opt out than like a defensive start or a wide receiver. So because I think that quarterbacks look as good as they do. Like, I mean, you look at the season that Joe Burrow's had last year at LSU, and look where it's look where he ended up as the number 1 pick.
I agree with you. Although for guys like Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, those guys, they could opt out right now. They'd still go in the top 5.
Oh, easy.
Or top 10 in Justin Fields' case. But like for other guys like Joe Burrow, who you don't know what's going to happen, can't opt out. Probably wouldn't even get drafted. You know? So, like he said, he'd probably be working in a fucking AutoZone or wherever it was. You know, if he didn't get drafted or whatever. So I agree with you. But definitely, I wouldn't have used those 2 names. Those guys are like larger than life good. Like, especially Trevor. Like Trevor Lawrence is a beast, man. He's never, and in his whole career at Clemson, he's never had a QB rating lower than 100. That's pretty impressive, you know. So he could have your side off this year, but he would have got drafted in the top 15 of this draft. So,
I mean, to be fair, after his rookie year, he'd have probably got drafted in the top 5 anyway.
Absolutely.
Because I was lucky enough to be in the States. I was in Nashville watching the college championship game when he absolutely destroyed Alabama.
Yeah, he put on a show.
Yeah,
he's a really good player. He's like a Peyton Manning who can run, and it's very impressive. Like, seriously, he's really talented, man. I get the big time comparisons or just like all the hype. I mean, so but to me, he's always reminding me of Peyton Manning.
I've got a light-hearted question. How's your dog?
Which one? Because there's a quiet. Oh, Coco. You know what's funny? They show me like being real nice. I fucking hate Coco. I hate that little demon. For the years I've been here, dude, he's just like anytime a leaf could fall. For hours, bro. Everyone I've been at, I hate him with a fire. He's calmed down. He's much older. He's a much nicer dog, but I just couldn't fucking stand him. So he was so annoying, man. He's good. He's no longer barking as much, so that's awesome.
Well, that's a start.
Yeah.
What dogs have you? What other dogs have you got then, RJ?
Oh man, we have a pit bull lab. His name's Grendel. I like Grendel. He's a sweet dog. He's really old, so he's on his way out, but he's nice. And then we have these 2 like rat things that I don't like either. They're just like super loud and obnoxious, and they're like really violent. Like they bite each other like to the death a lot, or like that's how it sounds. So there's them, and actually I think that's it because a couple of the other dogs have passed away just from old age. So yeah, there's Patch, Piglet, Coco, Grendel, and that's it. So just the 4 now. It used to be 6.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. It was a nightmare.
Just a very quick one because I'm conscious you've probably got quite a bit to do as well. Because I know you're a very busy guy. With regards to keeping in touch with some of the guys from Laney, have you still keeping in touch with people or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I keep in touch with guys who I played with in 2017. Like those guys, like the way things were at Laney College, like it's literally like those guys become like a part of your family. Like they're your brothers for life. You'll never forget them for as long as you live. So yeah, like particularly recently, especially I hung out. Jared Smart's in town. He plays for Hawaii. He was our best receiver in 2018. He's a stud. He's going to be 1,000-yard receiver plus this upcoming season for Hawaii whenever we decide to play. He's a stud. So I hang out with him all the time. We've been training together ever since he's been here. I talk to Dior from time to time. He's a pretty busy guy himself, so he's not always available to talk. He's not a big texter either, so that's another thing. But me and him talk a lot. Me and Timmy talk. Me and Cam talk. Like I keep in touch with everybody as much as possible. So, but you know, I have my own life. They have their life. So what's understood doesn't have to be explained. So whenever I do see those guys, it's like no time has passed.
That's good.
That's exactly how it should be, definitely. But again, RJ, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Really, well, from all of us, we really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely,
you
man.
very
It was a blast. But I think this might have been the most fun I've had on a podcast.
Oh, get in.
Oh, guys, this is really fun. Yeah.
But yeah, like definitely when you're actually able to share your big news, we'd definitely love to have you back on if that's a possibility. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, so just keep on the lookout. I don't know when it's gonna become official, but when it does, man, trust me, I'm putting it everywhere. So you'll have no problem finding it. I promise. Okay.
Yeah. Just before I let you go as well, RJ, if you, like I'm sure everyone's going to be able to find you, but if they don't, do you just want to drop your Twitter handles and Instagram and stuff like that where people can follow you?
Absolutely. So you guys can all follow me at Flash Gordon on Instagram and Twitter. That's spelled FLVSH.Gordon, GORDON, and that's all my social media. Hell, I even made a TikTok. I don't use it, but like it's the name.
Perfect. Yeah, everyone, thank you very much for stopping by. As you can see, we've all had an absolute blast. It's been fantastic. It's been you guys from Fourth and Inches. We'll be back with another episode. We'll probably try and maybe get someone else on. I don't know who that's going to be. It's definitely not going to be Jason Brown after my comments earlier. But yeah, thanks for watching.